What you're describing has a very strong sense of external control and hidden forces, but there's no reliable, real-world basis for the idea that your life path, relationships, or quote, contracts are being monitored, altered, or managed by spiritual figures or unseen investigations. Experiences like this often show up when emotions are intense, when someone has been thinking deeply about love, uncertainty, or past connections, and when the mind starts turning inner feelings into an outside story that feels organized and powerful. It can feel meaningful in the moment because it gives shape and certainty to things that are actually uncertain or painful to sit with, especially around waiting, loss, or hope. But framing life events as being, quote, tampered with, quote, sealed, or, quote, controlled by external forces can also pull you away from what is actually happening in your day-to-day reality, where relationships are built through communication, consistency, and mutual choice, not hidden interventions or predetermined scripts. When thoughts become very charged like this, it can help to slow down and separate emotion from interpretation. The emotion is real, but the story built around it isn't necessarily accurate. There is a big difference between feeling deeply about someone or something and having evidence that something supernatural or orchestrated is occurring. If this kind of thinking has been growing stronger, it may help to reduce exposure to content that amplifies it and instead focus on grounding routines, sleep, food, movement, and real conversations with trusted people, so your mind has space to settle. You don't need to force yourself to reject your feelings, but you also don't need to treat every intense thought as a message or warning about reality. Things become clearer when you stay anchored in what can actually be observed and verified in your life right now, rather than what feels symbolically powerful in the moment. You never sensed the betrayal, but heaven saw every single piece. Heaven saw the moment they broke the contract. Heaven watched the private thought where they decided to interfere with your destiny. Heaven watched the moment they made a choice to block what was yours, even though heaven had already stamped it in your name. And Archangel Michael says, this is the moment everything reverses. Because the truth is, your life was never random. Your blessings were never random. Your future was never random. The spiritual contract over your soul was written before you even knew what destiny meant. Heaven made an oath concerning you. Heaven sealed a promise around you. Heaven built a path around you. And now, this very path is being activated again with double force because someone tried to stop a future that they were never in alignment to control. This is where everything turns. Someone broke a sacred spiritual promise that involved you, but they forgot something important. Heaven never loses track of the agreements it makes. Heaven never forgets the people it chooses. Heaven never allows darkness to win the final move. Archangel Michael is stepping forward because you need to understand something very big is coming back into your life that was stolen in silence. Something very powerful is returning, and this time it comes with a stamp of protection that will not allow interference again. You were loyal, you were pure, you were honest, you were clean-hearted with your intentions, you were not trying to harm anyone, you were not trying to take from anyone. All you wanted was peace, stability, alignment, connection, truth, and real love that matched what your soul deserved. And because your heart was never corrupted, heaven is taking this personally. The broken contact is now being rewritten under divine order, not human desire. Archangel Michael has drawn a divine boundary around your future. This is why lately things felt heavy. This is why you felt a sudden emotional pressure you could not explain. This is why you kept feeling like something was being delayed, blocked, slowed down, like somehow things were closed but still stuck. It was not your imagination. Something spiritual was tampered with. Someone tried to steal or stop what you were destined to receive, but they failed. And now Archangel Michael is stepping into your story personally, because heaven is moving into recovery mode. Every blessing that was supposed to arrive to you will now arrive multiplied. Every connection that was meant for you will now return aligned and pure. Every blessing that was supposed to arrive to you will now arrive multiplied. Every connection that was meant for you will now return aligned and pure. Every miracle written for you will now reach you with unstoppable force. Heaven is not letting you walk into the future limited, wounded, or robbed. The broken contract has now triggered a massive heavenly response. And this is the reason this message reached you right now, in this exact moment of time. Divine timing is not random. There are no coincidences here. You were meant to hear this. Archangel Michael says, this is the beginning of spiritual justice. You were chosen before they ever tried to interfere with you. You were selected before they even existed in your storyline. Your life is about to enter the part of the timeline where heaven exposes the lie, reveals the truth, and restores everything that was stolen in silence. Heaven is responding because heaven knows this betrayal wounded your soul deeply. Even if you never spoke a word, even if you never showed the disappointment, even if you kept moving like nothing was wrong, heaven saw the wound, and heaven is healing it permanently. From denied forward, things are shifting again. You are entering a divine correction window. What was blocked will now break open. What was delayed will now accelerate. What was hidden will now surface. The contract is being restored with new protection codes, and heaven will make sure no human hand ever touches your destiny again. You are stepping into a phase that was always meant to come. But now it will hit harder, because heaven is not playing gentle with situations where someone intentionally interfered with your spiritual destiny. The next signs that begin to happen to you will not be subtle. You will feel sudden clarity. You will feel sudden emotional relief. You will feel sudden breakthroughs. Your soul will start recognizing movement again. Your inner intuition will start firing again. Your dreams will start speaking to you again. You will begin noticing synchronicities aligning fast, one on top of another, because heaven is rebuilding divine momentum around your path. The broken contract is now being repaired with divine force. Archangel Michael says, this moment marks the start of a very powerful reversal, where heaven turns everything back in your favor. And when this reversal completes, everyone who doubted, you will wonder how you rose so quickly again. They will not understand how fast your reality transformed. They will not understand how everything suddenly turned into alignment again. But you will know, heaven answered, heaven responded, heaven stepped back in, and nothing will ever be the same again. Stay till the end, my beloved child. This is where everything becomes more intense, because the spiritual investigation is not slowing down, it is expanding. Archangel Michael says that heaven trace the broken spiritual contract to an exact emotional moment where someone near you felt threatened by your future. They felt threatened by your growth, your shift, your divine acceleration, your sudden inner activation. When someone has been deeply affected by disappointment or emotional conflict, it is common for the mind to create a strong narrative around fairness, timing, and meaning. In that state, it can feel as if unseen forces are shaping events, or that everything is part of a larger design, especially when you are trying to make sense of why things didn't unfold the way you hoped. But what is actually happening is often more human and internal than external or predetermined. The brain naturally looks for patterns and assigns meaning to emotional pain, especially when you feel overlooked, misunderstood, or hurt by someone's actions. It can turn that pain into a story of opposition and correction because that feels more structured than uncertainty. In reality, life changes are usually the result of complex personal choices, shifting emotions, timing, and individual growth on all sides, rather than a hidden conflict between forces deciding outcomes for you. What can feel like interference is often the emotional weight of unmet expectations being processed in real time. And while it may seem comforting to imagine that everything is being redirected toward a guaranteed resolution, real healing tends to come from accepting that not everything can be controlled or rewritten, even if it mattered deeply to you. What you can build from here is a steadier understanding of your own emotional needs, boundaries, and resilience. Over time, the intensity of these interpretations softens, and what remains is a clearer sense of self rather than a sense of being pulled by unseen events. That clarity is often where real emotional restoration begins, not through external forces, but through grounding yourself in what is real, present, and within your control to shape. Your spirit will no longer feel the confusion that came from that unseen interference. Heaven is removing invisible resistance. Heaven is removing spiritual contamination. Heaven is removing energy that does not belong inside the timeline of your purpose. You will notice this shift happening emotionally, mentally, energetically, financially, socially, spiritually. The change will be visible and tangible. Your inner frequency is being tuned back to your original divine alignment. That original alignment is where miracles attach to you without struggle. That original alignment is where destiny unfolds naturally. That original alignment is where your blessings chase you. Your soul was never meant to live in spiritual debt. Your soul was never meant to run on delayed timelines. Your soul was never meant to live under someone else's manipulation. You were built to rise without needing anyone's permission. You were built to receive blessings without needing approval from anyone who doubted you. You were built to walk through prophetic elevation without waiting for validation. The broken contract was not the end of your divine path. It was the activation of the next major level. Archangel Michael says, the interference exposed the truth. The betrayal exposed the motive, the delay exposed the enemy, and now the exposure is turning into reversal. This reversal will not be gentle, it will not be small, it will not be soft. It will be sudden, powerful, shocking, and undeniable. The same way you felt sudden pressure, you will now feel sudden relief. The same way you felt sudden blockages, you will now feel sudden openings. The same way you felt invisible resistance, you will now feel invisible assistance. You will now feel invisible assistance. Archangel Michael is clearing spiritual passageways that were deliberately blocked. He is restoring every divine pathway that was interfered with. He is resetting divine timing around you so nothing can steal your ordained miracles again. Every time heaven steps in like this, the result is always supernatural turnaround. Your AHA now becomes a public demonstration of divine correction. They will not understand how you rose so rapidly. They will not understand how blessings began multiplying around you without warning. They will not understand how opportunities began chasing you faster than you could respond. They will not understand how doors began opening that were once locked and sealed. But you will understand, because you will know this is heaven's signature. This is heaven's stamp. This is heaven taking over the situation personally. This is why Archangel Michael wants you to prepare your inner posture, because as soon as this reversal begins unfolding, you must be aligned enough to receive without hesitation. Do not talk yourself out of your blessings. Do not shrink your worth. Do not sabotage your own receiving. This time, when heaven releases your blessings, you must stand in full spiritual confidence. You must believe that what is returning to you belongs to you. You must believe you are worthy of receiving what heaven has prepared. You must believe that this redemption is not random, it is prophetic justice. Someone broke a divine contract that involved you. They believed you were too innocent, too silent, too unaware, too distracted to notice. They believed your softness was weakness. They believed your silence was ignorance. They believed your patience was vulnerability. They believed your compassion made you blind to the truth. They misunderstood you completely because your silence was never blindness. It was wisdom. Your quiet spirit was not weakness. It was deep spiritual alignment. Your purity was not vulnerability. It was spiritual privilege. Heaven knows who you are. What you're reading is written in a style meant to heighten emotion and create certainty through dramatic language, contracts, upgrades, rapid manifestation, and cosmic compensation. It can feel powerful, especially when someone is already emotionally invested in hope, love, or uncertainty. But these claims aren't grounded in anything verifiable about how life, relationships, or reality actually work. In real life, there isn't a mechanism where outcomes are repaid, multiplied, or delivered through unseen spiritual systems. What does happen is more ordinary and still meaningful. People change over time, situations evolve, sometimes connections return, and sometimes they don't. Those outcomes come from communication, timing, personal growth, and choice, not from hidden compensations or predetermined upgrades. Messages like this often gain traction because they speak directly to desire, the wish for reassurance, fairness, reunion, or meaning after uncertainty. But certainty that comes from external declarations, this is guaranteed, this is already happening, it is written, can feel comforting, while quietly disconnecting you from what is actually real and observable. If something in your life feels unresolved or emotionally intense right now, the most stable ground you can return to is simple and concrete. What you know for sure today, what actions are actually happening in your relationships, and what supports your well-being in the present. You don't need supernatural framing for your feelings to matter. They already matter as feelings, but they don't function as predictions or guarantees about the future. If you want, I can help you unpack why these kinds of messages feel so convincing and how to step out of that mental loop without dismissing your emotions. Miracles will not hesitate. They will arrive in clusters. They will arrive in cycles. They will arrive back to back. This is what divine justice looks like. This is what spiritual correction looks like. This is what heaven's protection truly means. There is a reason this message found you today. There is a reason your spirit is feeling this shift. There is a reason you are hearing these words now. Heaven always communicates before the manifestation hits the physical dimension. This message is preparation because what is coming next is the moment that changes your entire storyline. You are about to witness divine justice in real time. You are about to witness divine restoration in real time. You are about to witness divine restoration in real time. You are about to witness spiritual reversal in real time. Before you continue hearing the next part of this message, pause for 1 second and do something that aligns your energy with this divine timeline. Like this message, comment to anchor your spirit. Share this message so it reaches the souls who need this warning, and subscribe, because we are entering deep, prophetic territory, and you cannot afford to miss the next shift. This season of your life requires alignment, not distance, connection, not hesitation, faith, not fear. The next message will carry the next layer of the reveal. Something huge is waiting for you. My beloved child, the divine cord is active right now, and things that were once hidden in the shadows are being brought into the center of heaven's judgment table. Archangel Michael says, the contract that was broken concerning you was not a small agreement. It was tied to your next level breakthrough. This is why you felt blocked in strange moments. This is why certain things slowed down without logic. This is why emotional weight came without any reason. The interference that happened was not physical. It came through spiritual sabotage, jealousy, secret intentions, emotional betrayal, spoken curses, silent resistance, and energy manipulation. They tried to bend the timeline so that your destiny would take longer to manifest. But heaven does not allow darkness to alter divine geometry permanently. The universe is realigning your path back to its original divine track, and the shift you will begin feeling soon will be unmistakable. There is no delay that can survive once heaven takes direct control over the timeline again. Archangel Michael says, the cosmic balance is being corrected. The angels are removing every invisible anchor that was dragging your energy down. You will notice that your focus returns, your clarity sharpens, and your emotional field stabilizes again. Every time heaven restores a broken contract, the restoration creates a ripple effect in the natural world. And this ripple effect begins by pulling back everything that belongs to you. Something extremely valuable is returning to your spirit. You were never meant to live feeling half complete, or disoriented, or disconnected from your destiny flow. You were meant to move with power, awareness, presence, and divine momentum. That momentum is coming back stronger than the version you once had. The broken contract unintentionally unlocked a higher divine authority for you, because heaven is not just repairing what was done. Heaven is upgrading your rank. Your rank has increased. Your spiritual authority has escalated. Your energetic field has become more powerful. The universe is now responding to your command at a faster rate because heaven placed you under spiritual priority after the violation occurred. They wanted to stop you, but instead they activated your next level. They wanted to sow your blessings, but instead heaven multiplied the blessings coming. They wanted to change your timeline, but instead heaven sealed your timeline so deeply that no human force can manipulate it again. They wanted your downfall, but their attempt triggered the biggest acceleration your destiny has ever experienced. This is why the divine alignment returning into your path will feel like a destiny avalanche. Blessings will arrive without the waiting process you used to go through. Connections will show up without resistance. Elevation will come without emotional struggle. Heaven is also preparing a moment of revelation where the truth about this interference will surface inside your spirit. You may not see the details physically, but your inner knowing will suddenly recognize who interfered and why they did it. You will feel it without being told. You will know without being informed. You will sense the motive behind their actions, and you will feel peace because heaven already settled the matter. You will no longer feel emotional attachment to who or what tried to sabotage you. You will no longer carry pain or resentment in your soul. You will no longer carry confusion about why things slowed down temporarily. Your heart is being purified and protected so that you walk into the future unburdened, balanced, clean, stable, and emotionally untriggered. Archangel Michael says, heaven does not just restore, heaven corrects the emotional impact. Heaven does not just fix destiny, heaven heals the soul connected to the destiny. Heaven does not just return blessings, heaven prepares the heart to receive them without fear or doubt. You are entering a season where your capacity to receive expands. You will receive without guilt. You will receive without hesitation. When people are going through emotional stress, disappointment, or a sense of being treated unfairly, it is very natural for the mind to shift into a restoration narrative, a story where everything is being corrected, aligned, or guaranteed to improve in a structured, almost destined way. It gives a feeling of comfort and control when life has felt uncertain or painful. But in real emotional reality, growth doesn't usually arrive as a sudden external reconstruction of circumstances. It tends to happen more quietly, through gradual changes in perspective, healing patterns, and the choices you make over time. What actually strengthens a person after betrayal or disappointment is not an outside force rewriting their path, but their own ability to process what happened without letting it define their future. Emotional healing is not about energetic damage being sealed by something beyond you. It is about your mind slowly learning safety again, your trust being rebuilt through experience, and your boundaries becoming clearer through reflection. That process can feel uneven, but it is deeply human and very real. It can also be tempting, especially when you've been hurt, to imagine that others will face consequences in a structured or meaningful way. But focusing too much on that can keep your attention tied to the past. What actually brings relief over time is shifting focus away from what others are doing or becoming, and toward what you are actively building, choosing, and changing in your own life right now. Real elevation, if we use that word in a grounded sense, is usually internal first. More emotional stability, better judgment, clearer thinking, and a stronger sense of self-worth that doesn't depend on external validation or imagined outcomes. From there, life does tend to open up in practical ways, not through certainty or guarantees, but through improved clarity, timing, and action. What matters most is staying connected to what is real and present, so your energy isn't spent waiting for a scripted outcome, but invested in your actual growth and healing as it unfolds step by step. It is about fulfilling your contract with heaven. You were not placed on earth to shrink to make others comfortable. You were placed here to expand into your full divine purpose, regardless of who feels threatened by it. Heaven is giving you permission to rise without emotional apology. Heaven is giving you clearance to succeed without explanation. Heaven is giving you authority to step into the life you were born for without hesitation. You are not returning to the past version of yourself. You are stepping into the upgraded future version of yourself. A broken contract with the activation moment. The restoration phase is the reward moment. The elevation season is the fulfillment moment. You are now in the middle phase where heaven is dismantling what was done and rewriting what should have always been. When the final phase hits, the world around you will shift so fast you will not have time to doubt or question anything. Everything will fall into place naturally. Everything will align effortlessly. Everything will appear in divine order. The reversal has already started. Now, the manifestation follows. Now, before hearing the next message like this right now, so the divine frequency stays anchored, comment below so your energy stays connected to this divine shift. Share this message so the ones who are aligned to this timeline receive the warning they must hear, and subscribe, because what is coming next is a major revelation you cannot skip at all. Don't skip, my beloved child. From this moment forward, you must understand that heaven is not only repairing what was broken, heaven is rewriting your entire spiritual storyline with new authority. Archangel Michael says this broken contract was the final allowed interference before your destiny becomes permanently locked in divine protection. That violation became the final trigger that activated a heavenly order which cannot be reversed, cannot be delayed, and cannot be blocked ever again. You were never meant to remain stuck in cycles where your soul kept repeating pain, disappointment, betrayal, setback, confusion, and emotional exhaustion. The spiritual contract you had was written for elevation and divine manifestation, not continuous emotional struggle. Heaven had already planned a massive breakthrough before this interference happened, but the interference actually amplified your destiny power even more, and now the spiritual return coming to you is 10x more intense. Archangel Michael says, the restoration will arrive like a shock wave that even you will not see coming. This shift will happen so suddenly that people who once doubted your journey will assume something impossible or supernatural happened overnight. Heaven is not subtle anymore about your elevation. Heaven is not quiet anymore about your success. Heaven is not gentle about your blessings anymore. Heaven is loud in your spirit now, because your soul is walking into a timeline that no force can undo. Archangel Michael says, "What is coming will make your spirit feel like you entered a divine fast lane where miracles begin to collide with each other in rapid sequence. There will be no pauses, there will be no stagnation, there will be no dry season. Everything will move like a divine river, pushing everything forward continuously. A broken concher can lead a momentum that darkest. Heaven does not restore equal to damage. Heaven restores above damage. Heaven restores beyond loss. Heaven restores multiplied. You are stepping into multiplied return. You are stepping into multiplied favor. You are stepping into multiplied divine alignment. The betrayal that happened behind your back did not go unnoticed in the spirit realm. Heaven did not ignore that moment. Your tears were recorded. Your pain was registered. Your hurt was documented. Your disappointment was marked. Everything you carried silently haven't absorbed it into divine memory. This is why Archangel Michael says, this phase of your journey is not normal reward. This is karmic divine recovery. Heaven is not just returning what was taken. Heaven is repaying you interest on every moment you were spiritually delayed. Heaven is returning you emotional compensation, spiritual compensation, energetic compensation, destiny compensation. You will not just get back what was stolen. You will receive what your soul should have received during that delay period, plus divine interest multiplied. This next level requires a new identity inside you. You cannot walk into this timeline with the old version of yourself. You cannot enter this new frequency carrying old emotional fear. This version of you must move with absolute trust in divine order. Heaven is not asking you to fight anymore. Heaven is not asking you to prove anything anymore. Heaven is not asking you to defend your worth anymore. Heaven is asking you to receive now. Receiving is your assignment. Alignment is your assignment. Stability is your assignment. Peace is your assignment. Not fighting, not proving, not explaining, not chasing, not convincing. None of that belongs in this phase. The divine realm has placed a seal over you that protects your destiny trajectory. When God seals something, no human hand can modify it. When Archangel Michael protects a timeline, no negative force can intercept it. When heaven sets the next chapter of your life, no betrayer can rewrite it. This is why divine restoration is not coming silently. Something is shifting in your life, and you're beginning to notice it in subtle but meaningful ways. There's a growing sense that you're moving out of confusion and into clarity, where things that once felt heavy or uncertain start to make more sense. Emotional pressure that you've carried for a while begins to loosen, and in its place comes a calmer, more stable inner state. You may find yourself responding differently to situations that used to drain you, more composed, more aware, and less affected by external noise. This is also a time where your inner voice feels stronger and easier to trust, guiding you toward decisions that feel aligned rather than forced. Sleep, thoughts, and emotions may begin to settle into a more balanced rhythm, helping you feel more rested and centered. Over time, 3 key changes tend to emerge in this kind of personal transition. First, a clearer mindset, where overthinking reduces and direction feels more natural. Second, an emotional reset, where past burdens feel less controlling and easier to release. And third, a renewed sense of motivation, where you feel more connected to your goals and daily actions. Instead of feeling like life is something happening to you, it begins to feel like something you are actively participating in again. This phase is less about external signs and more about internal realignment, where you slowly regain confidence, patience, and steadiness in how you move forward. Sudden clarity, sudden favor, and sudden acceleration. Clarity reveals what is real. Favor brings what belongs to you. Acceleration pushes you into destiny pace. You will witness all 3. When these 3 converge, breakthrough cannot delay another second. your soul will feel the shift like a divine announcement inside your body. This is the moment heaven has been preparing you for all along. The broken contract was not a spiritual setback. It was the spiritual trigger that opened a new destiny portal. Heaven is giving you permission to expect miracles without fear. Heaven is giving you permission to expect blessings without questioning. Heaven is giving you permission to expect success without anxiety. Heaven is giving you permission to expect alignment without doubt. You are entering a divine safe zone where spiritual security is guaranteed. Everything that happens from this point forward will reveal to you that heaven never abandoned you. Heaven was preparing the return to destroy every lie spoken over you. Heaven is rewriting your season publicly so the world witnesses divine justice unfolding before you go further into the deeper layers of this message. This is the moment where you anchor the energy of alignment, like this message, to hold spiritual resonance. Comment to align your spirit with this timeline. Share this so the message reaches those meant to hear this, and subscribe so you do not miss what happens next, because the next revelation will shake your soul in a way you have never experienced before. Something huge is waiting for you. My beloved child, destiny is accelerating now in ways the human mind cannot compute yet, because the response heaven is preparing is not small adjustment, it is full divine takeover. Archangel Michael says, the universe began recalculating your timeline the moment the spiritual contract was broken, and now the recalculation is complete. What is coming toward you is not the same blessing that was originally written. It is the upgraded divine version that only activates after betrayal has occurred. Darkness attempted to intercept the plan, but heaven responded by upgrading the plan. The interference may have felt like delay, but heaven used that delay to amplify your rank and multiply your future blessings beyond what the original timeline even contained. You are not being restored back to where you were before the contract was broken. You are being elevated above the level you would have reached even if nothing was ever interfered with. This revelation is what makes Archangel Michael's message so serious right now, because heaven is not balancing energy anymore. Heaven is rewarding it. There is a divine reality forming around you that does not match your physical circumstances yet, but your spirit is already sensing it. You can feel something bigger building in the background. You can feel that old heaviness dissolving. You can feel a strange peace inside your chest even though nothing around you looks fully settled yet. You can feel progress inside your soul even before you see progress with your eyes. This is because your spirit always receives confirmation before physical manifestation appears. The divine realm is not waiting for proof to appear in the natural world before shifting your energy. The shift begins in the invisible, and then it becomes visible, and you are in that exact middle bridge right now. The invisible reality is finished, and the visible reality is about to activate. All heaven needs for new in this phase is continued alignment and zero emotional fear. The person or soul who sabotaged that sacred contract, they believed secretly that if they interfered spiritually, they could block your divine acceleration. They thought your delay meant destiny failed. They thought the silence meant heaven abandoned you. They thought, because you suffered quietly, you suffered alone. But heaven never left the battlefield. Heaven never sat still during the attack. Heaven was watching the entire time, calculating divine compensation, multiplying divine reward, recording the violation so that justice could strike with precision. And now heaven is about to reveal how unstoppable a chosen soul becomes the moment heaven returns to the field. You are not returning to the old path. You are walking forward into the version of reality heaven defended for you when you did even know you were under spiritual attack. Archangel Michael says, your story from this point begins to look like divine power revealing itself effortlessly. You will not need to prove your innocence. You will not need to explain your pain. You will not need to justify your growth. You will not need to convince anyone that your blessing is real. Heaven will confirm it publicly. Heaven will validate it physically. Heaven will make sure that the outcome of this reversal is so undeniable that people who doubted you before will regret ever speaking against your name. This is why your breakthrough is not private. It will be visible. Your elevation is not undercover. It will be witnessed. Your return is not quiet. It will echo spiritually and physically. You are being instructed to emotionally prepare for sudden movement. When blessing arrives this fast, the mind sometimes struggles to accept that it actually belongs to you. But this time there will be no hesitation. You will feel the divine alignment. You will feel the shift in your chest. Sometimes in life, you start becoming more aware of subtle shifts within yourself and around you. Your thoughts feel a little clearer, your emotions a little more honest, and your inner voice begins to speak with a quieter kind of confidence. In those moments, it can feel like life is gently guiding you forward, encouraging you to notice patterns, reflect on your experiences, and understand how far you have come from where you once were. The things you have been through, especially the emotionally heavy ones, don't disappear, but they begin to transform into lessons that shape how you see yourself and the world. You start realizing that growth often comes from the choices you make in response to difficulty, not just the situations themselves. There is a shift that happens when you stop identifying with the version of yourself who only reacted from pain, and instead begin to act from awareness, balance, and self-respect. That shift can feel like a quiet turning point where you begin valuing your peace more than old patterns, and your direction more than past confusion. Life doesn't always unfold in dramatic signs or sudden events. More often, it changes through gradual clarity, better decisions, and a stronger sense of emotional grounding. As you move forward, you may notice that what once felt overwhelming becomes easier to understand, and what once felt uncertain becomes something you can face with more steadiness. This is not about external forces rewriting your life, but about you slowly stepping into a more confident, self-aware version of yourself, one that trusts experience, values growth, and moves forward with greater emotional strength and clarity. You are stepping into a version of you who knows their worth, who knows their calling, who knows their spiritual protection, who knows that heaven backs every step you take. You are stepping into a version of you who is not afraid to receive abundance, alignment, love, success, stability, and destiny fulfillment without apology. The divine reversal happening right now is not simply something that changes your circumstances. It changes your identity permanently. You will walk differently. You will think differently. You will love differently. You will trust differently. You will choose differently. You will carry power differently. And you will never again allow anyone to interrupt the path heaven wrote for you. Its sacred contract is now protected, sealed, reinforced, and permanently secured under divine authority. Nobody can break what heaven has sealed twice. And Archangel Michael says, this is your double seal moment. The contract they tried to break has now been rewritten so strong that every future blessing attached to it cannot be intercepted again. Pause now and anchor your alignment by liking this message to signal heaven that you receive this timeline. Comment to lock your energy into this divine return field. Share this message so the ones who are spiritually connected to your mission can align with their divine restoration. And subscribe, because what is coming in the following message carries the next stage of revelation, and you cannot afford to miss it. Something huge is waiting for you, my beloved child. Archangel Michael says, prepare your spirit, because the divine shift that is unfolding right now will cause your destiny to move into a supernatural acceleration zone, where every moment begins to feel like heaven itself is engineering each outcome in your favor. This contract that was broken did not only expose someone's hidden intention, it revealed who was never meant to carry your name into your future. The betrayal was not a destruction point. It was a revelation point. You needed to see the truth before you stepped into the manifested chapter of your destiny, because heaven refuses to allow anyone with mixed intention to sit near your throne season. This is why the betrayal had to happen before the elevation began. Archangel Michael says, someone's jealousy tried to hijack a divine assignment that only your soul was chosen to complete, but heaven restored your path before permanent damage could take place. You thought you lost time, you thought you lost progress, you thought you lost alignment, but nothing was lost. Everything was recorded, everything was tracked, everything is being compensated. Your soul is now in spiritual recovery mode, but recovery in heaven does not look like slow feeling. Recovery in heaven looks like sudden upgrade. The universe is restoring your emotional energy at the speed of divine law. The weight is lifting, the confusion is dissolving, the limits are collapsing. For the last months or weeks, you were being spiritually rerouted. The old path was blocked because heaven refused to let you waste your divine potential in a storyline that someone else tried to rearrange. You are stepping into a new timeline where your soul is no longer dim to match other people's comfort. Your energy will no longer shrink to avoid conflict. Your heart will no longer remain silent to avoid rejection. You are stepping into a version of yourself that is awakened, aware, and aligned with divine authority. And this is a version that nobody can manipulate again. The broken conquer ended your old identity and activated your ascension identity. Archangel Michael says, your spirit is about to experience something rare. Destiny speed is when heaven accelerates manifestation so rapidly that your reality becomes unrecognizable within a short period. You will see sudden progress in areas that felt frozen. You will get answers where there was silence. You will receive clarity where there was confusion. You will witness breakthroughs where there was stagnation. You will see divine compensation where there once was emotional debt. People who thought they had the final say over your future will watch heaven rewrite your story without their permission. They will see you walk into blessings they secretly tried to stop. They will see you elevate into positions they believed you were unworthy of. They will see you rise into victories they never expected you to recover from. You may be noticing that certain relationships, habits, or patterns no longer feel the same as they used to. Things that once felt important might now feel distant, not because of loss or punishment, but because you are naturally outgrowing them. As people evolve internally, their outer world often begins to reorganize itself in quiet, sometimes unexpected ways. This can show up as shifts in friendships, changes in communication, or a reduced need to seek validation from places that once felt necessary. Instead of forcing old connections to stay the same, there's a gradual acceptance of what feels mutual, respectful, and genuinely aligned with who you are becoming. This phase is less about quota removal and more about refinement. Your attention, energy, and time begin to move toward things that feel steadier and more meaningful. Emotional independence strengthens, and with it comes a clearer sense of personal boundaries and inner stability. You start choosing from a place of awareness rather than habit, and your decisions feel more grounded in what truly supports your growth. It can also feel like life is simplifying in certain areas, not by taking away everything, but by reducing what no longer fits. In that space, clarity has room to return. You may notice a calmer emotional baseline, a more stable sense of direction, and a stronger connection to your own intuition. This is ultimately a process of alignment with your current self, where what stays in your life begins to reflect your present values, not your past patterns. You are about to enter a chapter where everything that was once unstable becomes stable. Everything that felt uncertain becomes defined. Everything that was unclear becomes revealed. You are not only receiving blessings, you are receiving identity authority. You will move through life differently. You will speak differently. You will make choices differently. You will respond to life differently. The new version of you is not reactive. The new version of you is guided. The new version of you is not winded. The new version of you is empowered. The new version of you is not fragile. The new version of you is anchored in divine law. Heaven upgrades the inner world before releasing the outer world blessings because the soul must match the destiny it is stepping into. Archangel Michael says, "Do not be surprised if you begin to feel more spiritually sensitive these days. You may feel stronger intuition. You may sense energy shifts faster. You may receive warnings before they appear in the physical realm. You may start noticing synchronicities increasing like coded signals guiding your every step. You may begin having divine dreams that are not random imagination but actual destiny downloads. This is because your spiritual channel is now being reopened fully. The broken contract created an energetic block, but its repair reopened your receiving channel completely. You are now aligned with divine information streaming, and this will guide you toward each decision you must take moving forward. You will not miss direction again, because heaven is lighting your steps before you take them. And now, before we continue deeper, take this moment to pause and align your energy with this divine restoration field. If this message is resonating deeply inside your soul, it is because your spirit recognizes this as truth, not theory. What you've written follows a very intense destiny and activation style, but it leans heavily into pressure, urgency, and emotional dependence on external signs or instructions. I can't frame or continue content in a way that tells someone to claim timelines, anchor energy, or believe that missing a message affects their life path. But I can reshape it into something grounded, human, and emotionally healthy while keeping the same inspirational tone. Sometimes, a message like this is really just an invitation to pause and reconnect with yourself in a more intentional way, not because something external is controlling your path, but because your attention matters in how you shape your next steps. When life feels uncertain or emotionally charged, it's easy to look for signs outside yourself, but often, the real shift begins quietly within, when you decide to slow down, reflect, and choose what aligns with your peace, instead of your fear or confusion. You don't need pressure or urgency to move forward. Growth doesn't depend on reacting instantly or believing that something will be missed if you don't respond a certain way. What actually matters is how you show up for your own life in practical, steady ways, how you take care of your mind, your decisions, and your emotional balance. If something in your life feels heavy or unclear, it can help to return to what is real and simple, what you know, what you feel, and what you can do today to support your well-being. Clarity doesn't usually arrive through urgency. It comes through patience, awareness, and honest reflection. And from that space, decisions become less about fear of missing out and more about understanding what truly supports your growth and stability. This new divine contract carries higher blessings, deeper alignment, accelerated manifestation, and irreversible destiny confirmation. You are now inside that rite, the betrayal with the event that opened the spiritual portal for this upray. This means your new destiny path is not continuation, it is transformation. It is not return, it is reinvention. You are not entering the same future you were once heading toward. You are entering a completely elevated future that was not accessible until the sabotage happened. The enemy thought they blocked your blessing, but their attack created the doorway for a much bigger one. Archangel Michael says, this new contract contains blessings that are protected by divine justice itself. Every blessing inside this new future belongs only to you. No one else can claim them. No one else can steal them. No one else can block them. No one else can manipulate them. The spiritual court sealed those blessings in your identity field. And because heaven sealed it, the blessings cannot be intercepted a second time. You are not in a vulnerable cycle anymore. You are now in a secure destiny cycle. This is why your inner world is shifting so deeply right now. Your soul is releasing old identity shells. Your spirit is releasing old emotional weights. Heaven is detoxing your inner field because you must enter this next season spiritually weightless. You cannot take old wounds into a timeline that is structured for victory. Remember this truth deeply because Archangel Michael is emphasizing this repeatedly. The person who tampered with your divine timeline did not block your destiny. They qualified you for divine compensation. Every time destiny is violated, heaven responds with abundance. Every time a chosen soul faces betrayal, heaven responds with multiplied elevation. This is why certain chosen ones go through the worst spiritual attacks right before their major breakthrough. It is because heaven waits until truth is revealed before releasing the prophetic manifestation. You needed to learn who was fake before heaven trusted you with the real. You needed to see who could not hold loyalty before heaven gave you the type of blessing that requires loyalty around you. You needed to feel the sting of sabotage so you would not carry that same energy into your next level where God is taking you. Archangel Michael says, the next blessings that enter your life will not be small symbolic wins. They will be massive breakthrough events that change how your entire reality functions. This is why heaven needed to isolate you spiritually before the release. If everyone was still allowed near you, certain people would have contaminated these manifestations again. This is why connections were suddenly removed without warning. This is why conversations suddenly ended. This is why certain people disappeared without closure. This was not abandonment. This was divine extraction. Heaven removed spirits that would have caused delay again. The separation that hurt you grow was a protection that saves your entire future. You are entering a manifestation field where results appear rapidly and sequentially. Heaven is getting ready to drop blessing after blessing after blessing in your timeline with no pause between them. You will be shocked at how fast everything begins to shift once the first breakthrough hits. It will not happen slowly. This time, the pace will be supernatural. The movement will be continuous. The alignment will be immediate. The acceleration will be miraculous. You will wake up one day and realize that nothing around you looks the same. Your reality is going to transform so dramatically that your past will feel like a previous lifetime. Archangel Michael says, when this manifestation wave begins, you must remain emotionally steady. Do not let excitement turn into fear. Do not let surprise turn into disbelief. Do not let blessing trigger distrust because of past wounds. Understand that what is coming is not fragile. These blessings are reinforced by divine architecture. They cannot collapse. They cannot break. They cannot be stolen. They cannot be reversed. This is not the type of blessing that disappears. This is the type of blessing that shifts your entire future trajectory permanently. Your soul is entering spiritual maturity. Now, the version of you that rises in this season will not carry the vulnerability of who you were before the betrayal. You are stronger now. You are wiser now. You are more spiritually aware now. You can see intention without needing evidence. You can detect energy without needing confirmation. You can sense alignment without needing validation. You have stepped into discernment. And discernment is the spiritual weapon that prevents repeated cycles. Archangel Michael says, soon your physical world will begin reflecting the shift your soul already feels. Doors you once prayed for will suddenly open. People you once wished noticed you will suddenly seek you out. Opportunities that once rejected you will return asking for you. Conversations that once closed will reopen with favor attached. Love that once seemed distant will align with divine timing. Money that once seemed blocked will flow again. Your entire life field is being repositioned into divine abundance. If you are reading this, consider it a gentle reminder that change often begins quietly within you before it ever shows up in your external world. There are moments in life when things feel like they have fallen apart, when trust has been shaken, plans have shifted, or situations did not unfold the way you expected. In those moments, it can feel like everything is uncertain, but it is often also where clarity begins to form. What once felt like loss or disappointment can slowly become the foundation for stronger self-awareness, better boundaries, and a deeper understanding of what truly matters to you. You are not required to rush your healing or force yourself to move on in a straight line. Growth rarely works that way. Instead, it unfolds step by step, through reflection, patience, and small choices that gradually lead you toward a more grounded version of yourself. As you continue forward, you may notice that certain connections, opportunities, or paths no longer align with who you are becoming, and that is a natural part of personal evolution rather than something to fear. What is meant for you in a meaningful, healthy sense will not require you to abandon yourself to receive it. Over time, resilience builds quietly, confidence returns in new forms, and you begin to recognize your own strength without needing validation from outside sources. The future is not fixed by the past. It is shaped by how you choose to respond, adapt, and grow from it. Even after difficulty, it is still possible to create a life that feels steady, intentional, and aligned with your values, one decision at a time.